We are broadcasting. Now participants are able to come in. Yay. I get this figured out a little bit more every time. It's it's fantastic.
Oh, look, we've got people here. We've got 5 people here.
6, 7.
Good morning.
Jumping in. They were probably all waiting for me to open the waiting room. So it's good stuff. So the way that I've been doing this is I've been having everyone come on as participants, and I'm curious what that tipping point is. So want to make sure that I let as many people in as possible to give us a good interactive conversation, but I also want to make sure that it's balanced. So let's actually get started before we invite anyone else in as panelists, because I think I'm super excited to have you. You're my first special guest on Magnificent Mondays.
Hey.
I absolutely adore you. Melissa should be here joining us. Here we go. Here's Melissa. I am so excited this Monday. We have been doing these Magnificent Mondays. This is our 9th week now. And it's just been this beautiful evolution of being able to grow and learn together and to be able to attract a bigger audience every week. And Melissa and I have been able to put together this pathway to really help educators up-level their mindset overall. Really, we've tapped into their why. I'll go through the topics that we've touched on for the last 8 weeks. Filling your mental cup, being in values alignment, purpose and passion, your natural brain-wired strength, growing self and team trust, simple, sustainable routines, designing and living the life you desire, becoming an edupreneur, and now up-leveling your money mindset. So lots of cool things that we've been able to have conversations around. And I just am so excited that we're now at this point where it's all about looking at your money mindset, whether you're inside or outside of a school building. It really doesn't make a difference. And so we start everything, as we do every week, with gratitude. And I think because we have so many people on the call today, which is fantastic, I'm super excited. We will bring several of you on as panelists, but I think from a tech perspective, you're just gonna have to be patient with me while I introduce Lisa, and then I'll slowly bring you guys in. But while we're doing that, happy Magnificent Monday, everyone. If you can go ahead and type in the chat, what is your micro moment of gratitude from this morning? What has already happened today since you woke up? What is your micro moment of gratitude today? And I will start with mine. I got Kendall into drinking smoothies a while back when we first started dating, and Melissa obviously helped me, because she's my soul sister. And help me really learn how to make a smoothie that fuels your inner genius and fuels your mind and your body and everything throughout the day. And so I got Kendall hooked on this, and I've helped him learn all the cool things that you get to put into it that don't really change the flavor, but they give you a lot of nutritional benefits. So I'm super grateful that he makes really cool smoothies now, and I get to finish getting ready and I show up and there's a smoothie magically that appears. It's kind of cool. So Lisa, you want to share yours?
Sure. I'm grateful for some kind of routine today. To wake up and have some kind of routine, and my kids, of course, school's out, which we're seeing a lot of everyone sharing that's their gratitude. They're feeling more relaxed and being able to be present with you. It just feels like it's going to be a very flowing day and a flowing week, and I'm grateful for that.
That's awesome. Awesome. Mel, I saw yours. You got all your M's done for your epic morning rituals. That's so awesome. I'm so excited for you and that program. Has it launched yet? Nope.
Probably, I just filmed on Friday, so hopefully the 10th of June is when we're launching.
Yay, so exciting, so exciting. And Audra, I see, took a Google Classroom seminar in 30 minutes and found out 10 things I never knew. Yay! We'll be learning more about that in a little bit. Parents responded that their children want to participate in end of the year Google Meet. Barbara, that's fantastic. Woke up this morning and I'm well. It's a beautiful day. Yes. Tammy got an uplifting email. It's fantastic. And getting going on establishing your business, Dirk. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And in a few weeks, we'll be bringing Dirk in as a special guest with some cool stuff that he's working on too. Christiana, you get to work with your sister. That's very cool. Yay, great stuff, you guys. I love these gratitudes this morning. And without further ado, I want to introduce Lisa officially and share. Lisa and I have been working together for about 1.5 years now. And I can't believe it's been that long already, but yay. So Melissa introduced us, and Melissa, I'm not quite sure where you and Lisa met, but Melissa
Oprah. Just kidding.
I actually met Lisa. Well, truth be told, I was dating a guy that literally said, "Get your finances and your shit together." And then I saw her somewhere, and her book was literally "Get Your Shit Together." And I was like, well, if that isn't a sign. Bought the book, read it in Tulum in 5 days, called her, and I was like, dude, put my debt program in place and let's rock it. And sat with her for about 3 hours and put my financial plan in place to pay my $40K off in debt. And 14 months later, bam.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. And so then when Melissa told me about this book and that she had reached out to Lisa, and she's like, she's here in Vegas. And Melissa and I had been doing this, what were we calling it? Spiritual Warriors, 1 weekend a month. A few of us women were getting together, and we were doing our goals of what we wanted to achieve each month, and then holding each other accountable. And Melissa had the, as she talks about, the butt pucker that we would write on the back of the note card and really push ourselves to go, okay, what's that thing that you're like, oh, I really like, that scares me to do. And so one of the things that I wrote down was get my financial shit together. And she was like, hey, I know this is your butt pucker this month. This might be the person to actually help you do that. And for so long, I had been like, I'll figure it out. Like, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. And I just finally got to this place of surrender. Like, dude, I gotta stop trying to figure stuff out on my own. It's so much easier if you just reach out a hand and go, hey, you know how to do this really well. You mind helping me? And so had a quick phone call with Lisa, and immediately we just clicked and had so many synergies in terms of our greater purpose and passion in life. And she has just this depth of wisdom that she brings to simplify money and make it not this big scary thing. So it's just been such an honor to not only work with you, but to just become such great friends with you, and to know that we're connected on so many levels. And Lisa's now helping out with the nonprofit Genius School US and helping to grow and amplify that, doing great stuff in the world. So I'm super excited that you're here to share some of your money wisdom just in a simple way with these educators that are really pushing boundaries right now. This group of people is so phenomenal. They have taken this time to not only completely pivot their world and be doing distance learning with kiddos, learning new technology, all of these things, but they're also joining these Magnificent Monday calls and thinking forward and thinking about, how do I actually evolve my whole life in a way that actually serves me? So I am super honored for this group of amazing humans that is here every Monday with us, and it's only growing every week. We get more people to join in. So today is kind of, the stage is yours. I'm gonna dive in and ask you a few questions, and we'll bring a few people on as panelists so that you can interact with them and have really cool conversations. And then we'll finish up at 11 with some appreciation and send people on to have a fantastic week.
Cool.
So,
hi, everyone.
So good morning. Go ahead and take it away, and I'll bring a few people in as panelists.
Well, I'm not quite sure exactly what you want me to speak into, but I can talk a lot and I can share a lot and I can answer questions. And so first and foremost, to all of you educators, thank you. I have a son who is autism, high functioning autistic at McCaw Elementary School, and my oldest is 12 at Somerset. So from charter school to working with, I think McCaw's a magnet, but from the whole breadth of everything that you're doing, the impact that you have. And I can't imagine how hard, this has been hard for me working from home with 2 kiddos at home, trying to support you doing your work from home. My sister's an assistant principal at Pinecrest, and I just know she's, had days where she's like, I'm going to lose my shit. I'm going to lose it. So I know how important your support is to this community, Sandy, and you're always just so just such a breath of fresh air. And I think that more than anything, that's what Magnificent Mondays is for everyone, is just a breath of fresh air.
And it's a mouthful on a Monday morning.
Yeah. Yeah. But with money, Sandy, you point me in a direction. What, I know Melissa has her, I've done her work. I'm doing work with you. What would be valuable to share today?
I think where I want to start is actually learning where everyone is at. We've been, those of you that have been on this journey with us for a few weeks now, or even the whole 9 weeks. I want to know where you're at, because I keep asking every week, like, where are you from the last one, and what have you done since last week, and how has that shifted, even your thinking or your actions. But I really want to know, kind of holistically, since you've been joining these Magnificent Monday calls, where are you at, and where are you seeing money blocking your next steps? So twofold: where are you at, and where do you see money blocking your progression forward from here? So either type it in the chat, or those of you that are on panelist, because I'm slowly getting to bring y'all in. But Linda, do you want to, I always put you on the spot first, and I don't know why you're my go-to to put on the spot, but you roll with it and you don't get mad at me.
I don't get mad at you. Good morning. So I do stress about money sometimes, but during since we've been doing the Magnificent Mondays, I actually did schedule a meeting with PERS, with the Public Employee Retirement System, and also with the company that I have my 403B with, so that way I can actually move forward towards my retirement. I mean, I still have plenty of time left in the district. I have over 10 years, but I thought, I really have to take a look at this and see where the numbers are, so that way, since I still have some time to make adjustments. So I thought that was very productive, and I think just being with this group kind of motivated me that, this is something I need to be thinking about, and let's take advantage of the time that I have.
Love it.
Love
that.
Tammy, you want to chime in as well?
So money for me is like, I am so abundant in my life on every level, but I have to say the one area where I'm really trying to take that leap forward and have financial freedom is with money. And I think it's because I have been used to giving so much of my resources away because I'm a teacher, that block of trying to charge for it now is where I need to go. But I've been having one foot in education and trying to move over to an entrepreneur world so that I can have balance in my life. So that one piece, so I'm very grateful, Lisa and Sandy and Melissa, for having this conversation, because I feel like I've called you into my experience to help me cross over there. So I'm going to be listening and taking incredible notes. So thank you for having this conversation with us.
Yes, of course.
Awesome. Audra, I'm going to put you on the spot as well. And the question for those of you that are just kind of jumping in is, where are you at right now since you joined Magnificent Mondays? And how might money be blocking your next steps as you see it?
Well, it's a good question because my husband recently was laid off, and like a lot of people that are dealing with the COVID-19 backlash, he's got an interview on Tuesday. So we're so excited. It's a Zoom interview, which is fairly new to us, but we're crossing fingers and toes. And it's just funny. It's funny. Somebody made the comment, isn't it funny how an interview is a good way to kind of show off a little bit, because you get to, it's kind of expected, and it's scary because the hope is there, but it's a nice way to at least say, at least because of COVID-19 and the unemployment that came with it took us 5 weeks to get there. It took us 4 hours online, because when you are laid off as a teacher, he wasn't a teacher, but he was like working in an educational venue. Unemployment automatically believes that you are paid through the summer, or that you're covered, or you're on contract. And he wasn't, he was salary. And so it was a bit of a, snafu for a while, but we got caught up, and eventually we'll get things taken care of. Technology is a blessing and a curse. And so there were so many things, even with the stimulus money that we were supposed to get, some reason numbers were being transfixed to just be able to get it deposited into your account. And we still don't have things like that. So money is tight, but it's not unbearable. It's like, it's kind of slowly coming to us. Like, thank goodness I am a teacher is all I'm going to say. So, but yeah, It's part of the process.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. Adrian, we've got a couple of your chats here. Can you join us on video and unmute and share? I love the direction you're going with your comments.
No video cam, Adrian says.
No video cam. Works great.
She's not letting you off the hook.
Want to hear your beautiful voice. Yeah, in the bottom left, you'll see an arrow next to the microphone button, and make sure you've got your computer audio selected to the right place, unless you have an external device plugged in. All right, Adrian, we'll come back to you while you mess with your audio settings. Cindy, good morning. Oh, you're on mute.
Oh,
there you go.
Good morning. So I'm gonna say, like, I've learned a lot about money over the past, I would say 12 years. I got hit, I was in the interior design field, and I got hit in 2008. I got laid off after maternity leave of having my daughter. And that kind of, and my whole family kind of like, we're not gonna help you. You made the choice to have this baby. You can do it on your own. So I was left with me and a daughter, no job, and having to figure it out. And I learned by falling on my face. And eventually, 3 years ago in July, I purchased my first house. And now me and my daughter, we're not living extravagantly and sometimes not even comfortably, but I'm pretty well off just with my mortgage, because my mortgage is less than most people pay a month for rent. We have a house that's in, I mean, it was built in 1942, but it's in great condition. And I have a job that is fairly steady, being a teacher, especially a teacher in a Title I very rough neighborhood. But I feel like I could do more. Especially because I'm thinking about where I want to take my career next and what do I want to do next. And it seems like money is that issue. Like if I want to teach art, I need to take 3 to 12 credits. How do I find the money to pay for that? Mm-hmm. If I want to get a second master's degree, if I can't find scholarships, then how do I pay for that? Because my student loan debt is already higher than I want it to be. Mm-hmm. And yes, I'm on public loan forgiveness program, but the payments fluctuate every year according to my income. So it's not a steady debt line that I can budget for and make accommodations for. And sometimes it sets me back. So those are kind of the questions I'm at right there, is how do I take the next step in my career and find the money to pay for that?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question.
Love it. Great stuff. Sandy, do you want to chime in as well? Nope, you're on mute.
Mm-hmm.
This is my first meeting, so.
Hi.
Hi. I have to say I'm comfortable. My problem with money is I don't think about it. And like, how much does that cost? I don't know. Like, I don't pay attention to, and which is terrible, because I probably could save a lot of money if I paid more attention to it.
Probably.
I mean, I'm not rich, but I could be maybe, because I just live my regular middle class life and don't pay attention to money very much.
Yeah. You're not alone.
Definitely not alone.
Not alone.
Ward, what about you?
Okay, there we go. Money is, I view it as a tool. All it is, it's just a tool. Money was really, really hard back about 10 years ago when I was going through divorce, and I had all these bills and whatnot. But I was blessed in that I got to listen to a man named Joseph Sangl, who has a website. I was broke and now I'm not. And at that time, what really helped me was creating a budget and living by a budget, and then going by the principle 10-10-80, which is 10% tithe, 10% pay myself, and then the 80% of the money going to bills, and hopefully I had more left over. And also using Dave Ramsey's
Test.
technique of snowballing, and that's what I'm continuing to do. And I want to be out of debt so that I can eventually retire.
Yep. Awesome.
All right. So anyone else want to kind of chime in? I know I've been calling on people, but anyone else want to chime in on where they're at?
How has COVID changed your relationship with money potentially is a good question too.
I wanted to add one more thing. Right now, what I'm dealing with is college. Not so much myself anymore. Now it's my girls. I have a going to be 20 and the other one's 16. And so actually the other one's going to be a senior this year and one that's going to be a junior in college. So I'm looking forward to 2 in college, and that's pretty much where my investments are going, is in college. So it's no longer me. Thankfully, I've done all my education. And now I find that my husband retired last year, so that's helped because he retired very young and now he has another job. So his income is going to college. So right now everything's for college. So that's a whole different aspect from what you guys are talking about. But that's where I'm at in this case.
All money. It's all connected, right? You're just you're looking at it here and other people are looking at it here, but it's all the same conversation. It really is. It's all connected.
And I figure when I get done with college, then I can probably invest in something. But right now, all my money is going just to college. I don't see an investment happening at this time. I mean, besides their education, which I'm happy with. That is a big investment in my life and their future.
Right.
So.
Right.
Anyone else?
Sanal, I think, is that how you say it?
Yeah. Hi, Lisa. I'm going to add on to what was said is money more for the future. You know, most of you are pretty young, but I lived through 9/11 and I lived through, you know, the recession 10 years ago. Now I'm living through this recession. And thankfully, the first 2 times I wasn't prepared. This time, much better prepared financially. However, you know, looking toward the future and, you know, have a daughter that'll be doing something after high school. And I've always encouraged her that, you know, she doesn't need to go to college. And if she is going to college, I'm not paying for any of it. So I have that mindset in her already built in, even though I do have money saved up for college. And, you know, I told her I will support her and stuff like that. But, you know, trying to balance that and, you know, hey, I'd love to be able to retire like this Friday, but I can't. And, you know, well, what about next Friday and the following Friday? You know, so I think that balance of using money for the future, right? Because you know, managing money for today is one thing, but also managing money so that whatever your future goals and aspirations, you know, being an entrepreneur, you know, I love that. So someone said that, you know, I would love to get back into that space as well. But you know, there's certain commitments, personal, family commitments, and you know, how do you balance that? And are there any tips or strategies going forward? COVID-19, yes, it's affected a lot of people, and you know, part of me also wants to give back as well. But once again, you know, I don't want to do something with my money that affects my future as well either, you know, because we're all humans, we're all in it together. So just kind of curious what your thoughts are on that. So
many thoughts. Lots of thoughts. Sandy, do you want to take the wheel, or how do you want to?
No, I think
conversation.
You feel like you've got enough of a pulse on where everyone's at. Yeah.
Yeah. So all amazing thoughts, all interconnected and interwoven into your choices, right? So I always think, what if we replace the word money with choice? How would that reframe the way that you live your life? And how would that reframe the work that you do or the daily choices that you make? Because the truth of it is that every choice that you make has an impact and is connected to your money, right? Lots of chats, and so I'll come back to that. But really, what I teach. So my background is that I was a financial advisor. Before that, I was a college advisor. I was the director of advising for the Honors College at UNLV, and I left that position in 2011. And so I learned a whole lot about how to mentor, coach, and advise young people and people of all ages, really, because UNLV is such a diverse campus. And then from stay-at-home mom, I had to really look at, where do I want to make an impact? What's going to be my next step in life? And I decided that I really can't think of anything more important than helping people with money, primarily because it's not an intuitive part of our lives. We're not born knowing anything about money. It's a man-made thing. We made it up as human beings. How cool is that? That the one thing that that connects us as a society for so many reasons is money right now. And we've seen this big time with COVID-19 and how it's affected everyone financially and going, I was also around in 9/11 and also for October 1st, even in Las Vegas. If you're not from Vegas, we're just we're very susceptible to tragedy. We rebound pretty fast, but it hits us pretty hard when it does hit. So when it comes to money, what I teach is that from being a financial advisor and being totally disconnected in the finance world as it's taught traditionally, I felt lost. My firm, we were working with millionaires, so I got to learn a lot about the investment part of life, which is really important. And if we're not investing, you're not having a conversation about investing in your life, it's time to make it a priority, no matter how old or young you are, because investing really does give us the best opportunity to level our lives up, make our money work for us. So if we're not being present to our money, or if we're in debt and we continue to accumulate debt, then our money isn't working for us. Investing helps us get to where we want to go financially a lot further. But doing that, working with pre-retirees, I just felt like it was kind of soul-sucking for me. I love talking about money because I love talking about people. And I love talking about what's important to you and the direction that you want to go in life. And I don't remember exactly who said that, money is a tool. And if we look at it that way, especially moving from educator to edupreneur and thinking about the amazing opportunity that Sandy's created with Genius School, with Educator Dynamics, for you to think about, if you're in the fixed mindset that I'm going to teach and I'm going to teach for the next 30 years and I'm going to collect a paycheck and that's all I'm going to do and I'm going to be sensible with my money, shifting to edupreneur, your ability to earn and learn how to make your own money amplifies your ability to meet financial goals and meet life goals faster or more differently. So for a lot of us, we learned that school is a good example. We go to school, we take out loans, and that's how we create what we want. We go into debt to create what we want. And what I love about the mindset, the creative mindset shift, is that it's no longer about creating a paycheck. It's about you creating what you want and using all of your talents, all of your dynamics, all of your capabilities to think about, how can I generate more money for myself and ultimately for others to create my life in a bigger way. So maybe it's not debt. Maybe it's just learning how to make money. And I know for me, that was a game changer in my life. When I learned how to actually make money as opposed to collect a paycheck, everything has shifted in my life. And who I'm being through COVID it's made a big, big difference, because I'm not connected to or attached to a W-2 paycheck anymore. So being an entrepreneur for me has really set my life on fire. It's a little scary sometimes, but I've also been able to create a whole lot more as a result of it in my life. So those are just some of my thoughts as we wove through that conversation, as I heard you each speak in at different points. And there's a lot that I teach in my world, and you have to know some basics about money. I do believe it's completely possible to keep it simple, keep money simple, but also realize that your mindset attached to your behaviors, this is the one piece of the world that I coach on, is that it's your behaviors and your beliefs with money that impact the results that you have financially, not just what you do with money, but what you believe about money and what you believe about your own life. So that's the fixed versus creative mindset. Where are you? Today could just be a good day for you to check in. I don't teach budgets because they never worked for me. I teach much simpler systems of ways of looking at your money. But like Sandy knows, for the last year and a half, it's a stepping stone. You learn this, and then you step to the next thing, and then you step to the next thing. So there's a competency about it. And the more you work with your money, the more you get to know your money, the more you embrace the conversation that money's something we all need, but it can always be really fun. I think it's a fun conversation to have, like, what can I use money to create in my own life? So that's just kind of me thinking more stream of consciousness. I didn't prepare a formal talk, but Sandy, I'll hand it back over to you to have some more conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And, you talk about the journey that you and I have gone on together, and it really started with a lot of things were blocking my money mindset that I wasn't even aware of. Mm-hmm. And it was through you just holding my hand and going through simple steps of, nope, just look here. Like everything else will fall into place. Like, trust that process. And that's so true with everything in life. Is like, a lot of us want to go 0 to 100, when in reality, we just need to go 1 mile per hour at a time. And then we actually are at 100. And we can do that in whatever time it takes us. And no one is right or wrong, good or bad, for the duration of time that it takes you to achieve whatever you want to achieve on this journey.
Sure.
It is a big picture of the journey of life, and where are you at in your hero's journey? And we'll talk about that later as well. Melissa's been going through a lot of that with Fit for Service, and it's something we teach the geniuses in genius camps. But it's really important to understand that your whole life is a hero's journey, but you also have all these little chapters of hero's journeys. And so to look at each challenge that you come up against, or each limiting belief that you butt up against, that it's just another opportunity to take a lesson from an experience to then make a different decision. And so when it comes to money, and one of the biggest takeaways that I've had is looking at it as a choice, and looking at it as energy, and looking at it as a tool to do what I want to do in life with. And when COVID first happened in a big way, and the lockdown, it was actually about a week before the lockdown happened, I get emails from all of my principals that I wasn't allowed in the buildings anymore. All out of district consultants were no longer allowed in the buildings. And so in one email, all of my income was gone. One email, gone, everything.
Yeah.
And I had to take a step back, and I reached out to Lisa, and I was like, okay, here's what I'm thinking. Tell me if I'm crazy, but all I want to do is now give. All I want to do is, I'm just going to start volunteering. Like, if I'm not going to get paid to do what I do, I still love what I do. And what I do isn't about the money. What I do has always been about the bigger picture and making a difference for educators across the globe. So I said, I'm going to create a once a week principal meeting for all of my principals and say, I'm not charging you guys, just show up. I'm here to support you through this, whatever that looks like. And I'm going to start these Monday calls, and I just want educators from all over the planet. I want to be able to share the things that I've been teaching for a while in schools, and we'll see what happens. And what's happened is I've been able to birth this program that's going to launch next month. We've got momentum on these calls. Those of you that have been here since week 1 are seeing the attendance grow. You're seeing, and it's because all I'm doing is creating the garden to give. And it's not about the money. I'm not chasing the money. I just want to provide value in the world from my position of strength and my heart and my soul, and what's important. And that's what you guys do on a daily basis. And I think that that's why this conversation is so important, is that as educators, that's what you do on a daily basis. And the system of education has taught you to feel like you have a vice grip around your head when it comes to money and when it comes to any thoughts about abundance. And so then that trickles into other unintended areas of your life, when in reality, you have the same power that you would have if you weren't working in the system of education, because it's all in your mind, right? Mm-hmm. Everything that happens in our brains is a story we're making up. All we know is what's happening right in this moment, and then in this moment. Everything else is a story we're making up, either about the future or about the past.
Yep.
So especially when it comes to money, what story are you making up? And what story do you want to make up? And then how do you shift that? And so I'll let Lisa kind of take that question and tee up the strategies that she uses to help people shift that mindset.
Well, I think that first of all, it's really important and really valuable to know that there is no one size fits all approach when it comes to money. Just like in educator dynamics and talent dynamics, everybody has their own unique genius and everybody has their own unique way of seeing life and being in life. And so what did not resonate with me in the finance industry is that it feels like a lot of the times that these experts are trying to fit you into their financial box. You have to do it my way. You have to look at these systems. Money is, like I said, it's because it's so dynamic and because it really is a man-made thing. We're seeing this in cryptocurrency right now. People are just making up a new system, right? So money's not a one size fits all box. And based on your personality, you're going to operate differently with money when it comes to money than other people in your life and everybody on this call. And so what I like to do is open that up. And I talk about different money personalities and how to embrace your own mindset, embrace your own genius when it comes to money, and then create systems that work for you. So I saw some dialogue in the chat box that there's a budget, there's a spending plan. It's really all about using a language that's going to support you and make and confer you the power to make empowered choices when it comes to your money. And yeah, educators are chronically underpaid. And at a certain point, whose responsibility is that, right? And you're like, oh, don't get me going, right? I get it. My mom was the president of the PTA, state of Nevada. She was up in Carson City lobbying for educators when I was very, very younger. So I understand the complexity of that conversation. And we all saw what happened last year when it came to trying to get pay raises for teachers, right? But at a certain point, it's our relationship with money. The results that we have with our finances are 100% our responsibility. 100% our responsibility. What we choose to earn, what career we choose to go into, who we choose to have an impact with. And what Sandy's doing right now is she's blowing the conversation up big time to say, hey, it doesn't have to be this way. We choose in to our systems. We choose in, and when we are willing to break that conversation up, when we're willing to break our conversation up about what we've chosen into, a new possibility can emerge financially and otherwise. And so that's where I think this is such a relevant conversation, Sandy, is that you know, the old paradigms that we're seeing financially in the world, education, we have this conversation as board members for Genius School every day, is that the old paradigm is shifting. And I saw that with my kids without school these last 4 or 5 weeks. My son, my youngest son, we found out school for him. He loves learning. He loves the learning process. He doesn't love the social aspect of school, which is complete opposite of my other son, who loves the social aspect of school, but not the technological, being on Zoom meetings. He doesn't really like the learning process as much. As educators, you now can be involved in this conversation and having a say in how you want to diversify the educational experience, how you want to be involved in the educational experience, and financially what that means for you. Maybe it doesn't mean that you're stuck. Maybe it does mean that the money you have, you should pay more attention to. I think that was, who was that? I don't see her on the screen. Maybe it just means, oh, Sandy, that you should pay more attention to it because you work hard for it, right? You work hard for it. And for what a lot of people, what we all found out during this COVID environment is that we don't get to take anything for granted, especially our jobs, even as educators. Who knows if they'll be here next year, right? So from a entrepreneurial creator conversation, I'd really like to open that up and say, well, what could you create if you had a say so in what you made, how you made it, what talents you used, what would be possible for your life? Some of you, it's a choice. You're like, I like it. It's safe. It's reliable. I've got a pension. I've got PERS. I want to stick with it. I see my sister, I love her, but she's kind of, you know, adopted, like, I'm here for the next 15 years because I have to retire. And there are some days where I know she just energetically struggles to go to work, not because she doesn't love what she loves what she does, but also she doesn't see it as a choice because she's made the decision, she's gonna stick with it. And I'd love to be able to open up that conversation with any of you to say, well, what else is possible? I have clients who are working on loan forgiveness. So they're in their job because of loan forgiveness. And when we work through those numbers and really open it up, they see that, one, it's a choice, it's a huge benefit. They can even just shift their mindset about who they're being about their relationship with their job. So their mindset shift, and then learning their actual money helps them feel less like they have to, more like they get to, they choose to. So I think it's a really important, relevant conversation about, as educators today, who do you get to be about your whole life and about your own future, and how can we help you grab the bull by the horns financially and make more, whether that means through your school system or as an entrepreneur, edupreneur environment. Sandy's got that, I think, that magical opportunity right now through Genius US and through everything that you're creating to say, hey, let's go and think about it in a new way. And I think that's incredibly valuable.
Yeah, Lisa, that's so important as we have this conversation. So I ask this question often in a really simple way. Whose job is it to amplify the value of educators? Whose job is it to amplify the value of educators?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone want to chime in on that? Whose job is it?
It's our job to amplify as educators. We have to be our own advocates,
Right.
and we're bad at that.
Right, and so this is all about nudging you to take that leap of faith that when you do, as a collective, amplify your value, you're not alone. That's why this conscious educator movement is so vital, because none of you are alone. You're all in this together. You're all stuck in this system that doesn't serve you. And the way out is to amplify your own value. And so when we were talking about talent dynamics a few weeks ago, the way to bring value to the world is through products or programs or through service. Remember the dynamo versus tempo, right? And that's how we create value in the world. And then we leverage that value through people or through systems. And so understanding that that system is a system of money, that can be a system that you leverage the value that you bring to the table. And then through people, it's who are you connecting with? Who are you leveraging in order to help you? You know, I chose to work with Lisa as a point of leverage. It's like, I know I have this value that I'm bringing to the world with this work, but I'm not leveraging it well. And so she taught me how to use money as a system to start leveraging what I was doing, but she was the person that I used to leverage her skill set to up-level mine in order to bring more value. And bringing Melissa in was to amplify the value of service that we're able to deliver. And so again, who are you partnering with is just as important as the systems that you're putting in place, along with, you know, your money beliefs. So back to Lisa's question is, what is possible when you amplify that value? What is possible if you shift that mindset beyond, I'm just here to receive a paycheck and my hands are tied? What's possible if you expand that? Linda, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to add something to that. I mean, there are so many possibilities. I think what happens sometimes with educators is that when they're in the system for an extremely long time, they don't realize that it is our job to keep on growing and changing and evolving as educators and grasping, you know, what's going to be the next thing or looking for it. Because in private industry, you have to constantly show your value. You know, whether you're there 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you have to add value at all times. So I think, you know, we have to remember that we always have to be changing and evolving and adding value. And I mean, I have a small business and I've been teaching 12 and I've had it almost 11 years, I think. And I use skills that I've learned as an educator, and I learned skills that I had from industry as well. And that combination, I think, helps keep me motivated to see like, oh, where can I grow? What can I learn? I mean, during this COVID-19, it's been interesting because I have an online training school for chefs, and I have more people on it now than I have in 11 years. And it's all over the world, but I put it out for free, like you're doing this for us for free for 2 months. But now I've expanded my network from, you know, the hundreds of people I was connected to here to now thousands of people around the world. But we all have to, I mean, we have so many skills as educators, And there are other ways to monetize it. I mean, right now my course is free, but it will eventually be monetized again. It has been in the past, and it's always like that nice little cushy spending money. But I think everybody here has so many more marketable skills than we realize.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Educators are some of the most educated people.
To ask every once in a while, you sit there, we've talked about this, Sandy, where it's like when you try to put a value to what you're good at, I mean, sometimes when you're good at something, it comes so easy to you, it's really hard to put a price to it, or how much you would, you know, so I think that's part of this too.
Absolutely. I know as a business owner, I had to, and a coach, like a money coach, I was like, what do you charge for money coaching? Right? I don't know. But I know what other coaches charge for their services. And then having paid my own mentor to support me, we started to look at, well, what are other people charging in this space for this kind of service, to be able to say, okay, well, this is what I know my value is. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars investing in myself and my college education, working up the ladder, investing in myself as a financial advisor. So I paid all of that into myself to invest into myself, to be able then to now charge what I feel like is reasonable to charge for my services as a result of what I've invested. And I can save people those shortcuts, right? So you have done the work. Educators are some of the most educated people on the planet, right? You can charge for your own value of saying, hey, you don't have to go to school for 20 years like I did, or continually having to go to school to keep my certifications, right? You can monetize that, not from a selfish, well, I mean, it doesn't have to be selfish. It can be a way of you saying, hey, I've done the work, and now your kid is going to benefit from that, or you're going to benefit from that. And that's where the reciprocity and value comes from, I think.
No, absolutely. And yeah. I see your comment in terms of takes a village to raise a child, but parents don't always see us as providers, as an extension of the classroom, unless it's free. And I would encourage you to unpack the beliefs that are within that statement, because I would agree with you that it's true some parents don't, but there is also a whole network of parents who do. And so when we look at where we are bringing value into the world, and trusting that when we cultivate this garden where we're amplifying our own value, the right people will arrive. Because if we're running around with a net trying to catch the butterflies, so to speak, we're chasing them away. And we're looking for the ones that aren't just naturally attracted to us. And trust is the measurement of value. So when we value something, we trust it, so that when you are bringing value to the world, people start to trust you. That's attraction, right? It's a natural way to create that attraction. And the money follows with that attraction, because it's energy. And it is that choice of how you're spending your time, where you're placing your value, even in yourself, right?
Yeah.
So again, wholeheartedly agree. There are some parents in this world that do not have a mindset of value in education enough to spend money on it. And there is a huge population of us parents that do. And OutSchool, for example, Lisa, you spent money on OutSchool for your kids during this time, in addition to what they were doing with what their teachers were offering within school. So there are opportunities to really bring your value to the table and attract the people who want to learn and grow from you.
Yeah. I think that when we look at socioeconomics, this conversation can go a number of different ways, right? And I know that even in Vegas, we have different socioeconomic kind of environments: Summerlin, Henderson, East Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, and this all changes the complexity of the conversation with money, which is why I love to have this conversation. But I think that ultimately what it comes down to is, it is your job also to know your value and your worth as an educator, and then to feel like it's okay for you to go and offer those services and ask for compensation. And certain people will value it. That's also our job, which I know a lot of men and women feel very awkwardly about the word sales, right? People don't want to be entrepreneurs because they don't want to sell. And I get that. So think about that, like, oh, I don't want to have to sell. Well, the way I think of it is, it's if I don't get out there and tell people that I exist, then I'm basically telling them I can't help them. And if at least I'm not making them an offer to get help or get support, then that's me also saying that what's important to them doesn't matter, perhaps. I get maybe some of you, I'm, pushing your buttons, or you might be feeling emotional or charged in this conversation, which is good because maybe it's landing or maybe it's opening something up for you. But the way I see it is that whatever value you can provide, even if it, I worked closely with Urban Seed, right? Urban Seed is brought a new conversation of bringing food to schools and helping people who are economically disadvantaged. And that's what the nonprofit structure is for. Right? I work closely with nonprofits also who have been able to communicate their value to get the funding that they need to make a difference with who it is that they've decided that they want to make a difference with. So entrepreneurship to me looks like there's the nonprofit model, there's the for-profit model, there's everything in between, and our ability to say, hey, I want to make an impact, and I'm not going to limit myself to the here and now and these old paradigms that we know are broken and aren't working anymore.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I've been loving this conversation about our personalities. So I am a creator. I've got this like head in the clouds kind of idea. So I spend my life kind of took a transformation, and I really broke open into my hero's journey, but that also hit me in the finances.
Yeah.
So part of me, it's like going back to, getting my education, and I'm spending money and putting money on credit and doing those things. Now, part of me is like, I want to do this. Like one of the risks I took is I put my Genius U on credit to be able to be part of this. But at the same time, it has moved me beyond where I could have moved had I not made that financial hit and risk. And there's certain things that, for me, I'm very heart driven, and I don't want to live with regrets of not connecting. But yet if you go to the bank and you're dealing with a steal, they're looking at just numbers. They don't care about this opportunity that's there. So how do you figure out the balance between, and I know this is unique to my personality, a steal would handle money different than I would, but I also don't want to not jump into having this experience in my life, because I know I have to spend some money to make money, because there's pieces that I don't have yet figured out. So how do you do that, and at what point, that's where my biggest struggle is. I don't know if you can answer to that, Lisa.
I think what I'm hearing you say is, how do you work in that? No, well, first of all, we have to realize and recognize that the steals of our lives we need, and they provide so much value. But what I'm hearing you say is you just don't speak the same language, right? They're looking at a certain piece of your finances, you're looking at the value it's going to add to your life. And then how do you get into a conversation to get the funding and the support that you need, right? To be able to grow in the way that you want, because it's all about return on investment. As long as your debt, the way I see it, as long as you're being intentional about your return on that investment over time, I think that having a plan will be really valuable. I think that one of the best things that you can do is find someone to help you and teach you to learn how to have your conversation with the steals, like finding an advocate. Like I know Sandy, I do that for her, where she's like, what does this mean?
And,
so I can.
Enough, Lisa is actually a supporter profile.
Yeah. And I'm not a steal, but I have steals in my life that I've learned how to be best friends with. And I call them and be like, okay, break this down for me. And so I can find the loopholes and help communicate what it is that you need to know, where a no is not a hard no in the finance industry. It's probably just that there's not enough information. Knowing steals, there's never going to be enough information, right? But it's about learning how to position yourself. And that's, I think with money, it's really understanding the game, not keeping your head in the clouds that it doesn't matter. I have a lot of I'll talk about the 5 money personalities here in a minute. Okay, Sandy? But it's not that money doesn't matter, but we'll be willing to come out of the clouds long enough to find the relation of money and why it's important and focus on that. You don't have to know how to read a financial statement. Someone can help and support you with that. You don't have to read a 10-page contract, which is like stabbing yourself in the eye. Let's find you an advocate to help interpret that information and communicate it in a way that makes sense. It's not that we value those systems less, because they're valuable, but we learn how to work within the system using your genius and focusing your genius on the creation side of it. You have to have a team. I have a finance team. I have a financial advisor. I have a bookkeeper. I have a CPA. I have a best friend that, like, my, my pity party best friend, who's also my financial person, where I'm like feeling sorry for myself. I have a whole financial team because I realize how important that piece of my life is, right? And that's what I teach, is you got to find your advocates who are superstars in those ways. Is that valuable, Tammy?
And the other piece,
that was great. And I love how you bring it to personalities. I've never heard that. This is the first time I've ever seen somebody connect it to my personality, because I just went through this. I had a huge opportunity come through to be part of a documentary. And I was like, I really want to do this. And I'm trying to explain to a steel personality is like, listen. And I'm like, but don't you understand? I don't want to live with this regret. And he's like, and I'm like, how do I merge these two? Exactly what you're talking about. So thank you.
Yeah, it's not an either or. Neither of you are right, neither of you are wrong. You're unique. You do it your own way.
And one other layer to that, Tammy, is, and this will resonate with you because you're in the Genius U community in a really meaningful way as well, is the levels of consciousness, the Wealth Lighthouse spectrum. But the way that we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about this next Monday, is we're going to talk about the different levels of consciousness that we all evolve through as leaders of our own lives. And it coincides with our money mindset. And even though we may have a certain money personality, we may have a certain talent dynamics personality, we may have certain core values, we all need to stair step up the levels of consciousness in a meaningful way, where it is one step at a time. You can't just go from a victim mindset to a Richard Branson, I'm changing the world and creating economies mindset. It doesn't work that way. You go stair step one at a time, and you establish the foundation. Because if you're working on a foundation that keeps crumbling underneath you, you keep falling back down. So it's we'll talk about the different levels of consciousness next Monday and get into a lot of detail there. But Lisa, I'll let you go ahead and share the 5 money personalities.
Yeah, and I love what Adrian's saying here. Money doesn't have a personality, a motive, a need. You do, and money is simple. I agree with you. So I'll kick this off. This is what I teach, and I have this conversation with women mostly, but everyone, is that money doesn't care about your feelings. Money is an inanimate object. You tell money where to go, and it will go there. So you take $1, you put it on the table, it's going to sit there until you move it, right? You put the dollar into a system like the stock market, and it's going to operate the way it's been designed to operate, right? So yes, I completely agree with you, Adrian. When it comes to money personalities, though, we all have different personalities, and we all have different approaches to how we see the world, right, Tammy? And we all have different ways of making decisions. And so with the 5 money personalities, you'll start to see the steel come in. You'll start to see the tempo come in. You'll start to see the creator come in. And so I won't, Sandy and I haven't fully fleshed out how to make those connections, but this will give you an idea of how they can be so different and how they can cause so much conflict in the world. So on the one end, on the very conservative side, we have the cheap money personality. And that is the money personality that a lot of people in the finance industry, a lot of them subscribe to, which is more like this steel, where they're very analytical. They see money, they can follow a spreadsheet for years. You give them a plan, they will set it into motion. They tend to also, thinking about money consciousness, sometimes live in the scarcity mindset. So they like to hoard their money. There could be fear around that. They don't like to part with their money. This person, money personality wise, could put something in their shopping cart on Amazon for 10 years. It could stay there, and they'll like look at it forever, but they'll never buy it, right? So they just tend to be the more analytical, thoughtful person. They like budgets. Budgets work for them. On the total opposite side is the spendthrift, or the spender money personality. This personality is much looser, much freer, much more abundant when it comes to money. You'll hear them say, I can go out and make more money, no big deal. They always feel like they can just create it and move with it. That's more the creator brain, right? But they're not as analytical as the cheap money type. And they can be very impulsive. They can emotionally make emotional decisions. Some of my clients who are in the spendthrift category have had previous addictions, so they're just more impulsive in personality in general. I'm not saying that's you, but that's one characteristic. And so you can see how they're so different. This person on the spender side will wake up one morning and go buy a car and have not thought through it at all. Where do I sign? I want that car, right? The cheap money personality will spend 5 years analyzing, researching, thinking thoughtfully about the right car. So although it might seem that they're going to wake up one morning and go buy a car, they've been thinking about it and they know it's a very safe car. They'll drive a Camry. The spendthrift will drive a Ferrari, for example, okay? And then in the mixture of that, we have the delusional money type, which is the more big risk, big dreamer, big thinker, more entrepreneur, kind of Tony Robbins style thought, like think big, get a bigger plate, pile it all on, go do it, right? And so this person will be someone that will talk about the 5 businesses they want to open. You'll always hear them talking about the big plans that they have, the big things that they're going to do with their money. They belief system wise that they can make $1 million even though they made $30,000 the year before. Some of you know who this person is. Some of you live with this person. You're like, oh my gosh, don't start another company. Make this company successful first, or don't go do this big thing yet. My parents are the cheap ones. I'm the dreamer one. So can you imagine in my household growing up, they were like, save your money, save your money, save your money. And I was out taking big risks with my money. Eventually it paid off, but it was pretty, for me, it was like this a lot financially growing up. So you can see how that's different than even the spender category. The other one is the head in the clouds, the avoider. This is the money personality where they don't like looking at their money, and ultimately they don't like talking about conflict. They don't like being in conflict. They avoid conflict. This is the more supportive person. They don't like having hard conversations, so they just avoid their money because it's not fun, or because it brings up emotion, or because they'd rather focus on other things, right? And then the final money, so we've got the saver, the spender, so the spendthrift, the cheap, the avoider, the delusional, and the other one is the overgenerous. I see a lot of teachers in this category. It's the bleeding hearts. It's the Oprahs of the world. You give, but you never prioritize yourself. Oprah had to go make the billions before she gave the millions. So when this money type, it's really just most importantly making sure that your goals, your needs, your wants, your desires all come first. You learn how to put yourself first financially and otherwise, because when you track and look at where your money's going, it's going to the homeless person out on the street. It's going to your children. It's going to a family member that you can't say no to. It's going all these different places. It's okay to prioritize yourself first. Just to wrap that up, because I know people have to hop off and we promised to end at 11, but you can see how those different money personalities are very different, and they all have their great strengths. And so when I coach into these different personalities like we do here in Conscious Educators, to your own strengths. And we make up for those weaknesses. We pull in the right team members to help you have progress in every area that you want.
Love it. So valuable, Lisa. Thank you so much. You have shared so many just nuggets of wisdom in such a short amount of time. I absolutely adore you and I'm so grateful for your time. And so getting a hold of Lisa, it's her website is lisachastain.com.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead and type that in. You can find her there and the different programs that she offers. Wealth of knowledge. She has so many opportunities for you to connect with her in whatever way serves you. So definitely reach out and check out her website. You can find all of her contact info and all of her programs there. I would love to hear just in the chat and then from a couple of you live, what are your like quick snippet takeaways from today? Quick snippet takeaways from today. What value did you receive today? And anyone who wants to unmute and share, you can do that as well.
Well, that we had said that money was a tool, and also looking at money as a choice, because we do make choices where like I will not buy coffee at Starbucks every day, but I'm going to spend that $25 in gas to go out to the river, you know, because so we all make the choices. And I do I do really like that. And learning about the 5 personalities, I thought that was interesting, like how it's broken down. I see myself in a couple of places, but I actually did like that. And also just for us to reflect on where we see our value, you know? So I think that's good. It's all really good.
Good stuff. Christiana, go ahead.
I like the money personalities too, because I'm an avoider. And so knowing that about myself, but also I've been working on it, and knowing that if I have a shortage mindset, I'm always going to be short money, and I'm going to spend it a lot more quickly because I think, oh, well, it's going to run out. Yep. And so I'm trying to switch that mindset to an abundant mindset, and I notice myself saving a lot more and being willing to check my bank account. I always left it up to my husband because I knew he would check it, and I wanted to avoid it because for so many years we had a negative balance in our account, and so it created this anxiety for me. But just reiterating to myself that yes, it's okay to be to have that mindset, but you can change it and you can evolve it to be something that's more stable. Anyway.
Absolutely.
Christiana, that's so valuable. Thank you so much. I am super grateful for all of you showing up with us every Magnificent Monday. Feel free to join us next week. We are going to talk about the levels of consciousness and how that impacts your belief systems and your habits and behaviors, and really aligning that with how we begin to shift and create new habits and behaviors along the way. And that we'll tie that back into what Melissa was sharing with us about those simple, sustainable routines and how we rewire our brain and the neurochemicals that are all up here that we're in charge of and we get to control. So Melissa, did you want to add to that?
I do want to add to that. And I think this whole conversation, to kind of close the loop on it, whether it's health, whether it's money, no matter with what entity in your life that you are looking to shift and move the needle and co-create, your life on purpose, as Sandy always wants to say, is remember, you guys, and I've talked a lot about this, it's your unconscious mind and your brain. Again, we talked about this before. It likes comfortable. It likes safe, it likes routine, it likes what's normal. And so if you've had a belief around a certain area in your life for a long time, know that your behaviors are unconscious and you're just validating that old story. So remember, that's 80% of your choices and your decisions. So in order to get uncomfortable and create something new, remember, the conscious mind is around 10 to 15% of your choices and decisions every single day. And I use the terminology of what is that butt pucker? What is that little uncomfortable thing that I could choose to do today that rewires my belief system in co-creating the life that I want? And so I invite you with this conversation, ask yourself, what can I do this week that is going to make me a little uncomfortable, but help me to co-create something different and new? And whether that's reaching out to Lisa and saying, hey, I want to have a conversation around my money, especially if you're an avoidant. That's a huge uncomfortable thing for an avoidant to do. So be willing to get a little bit uncomfortable, because that's where the magic is in how you really co-create the life that you want.
Love it. Thank you so much. I wish you all a beautiful, beautiful week. Lisa, will you type in the chat your website? Thank you. I wish you all a beautiful week. Reach out to someone you care about and share a nugget of wisdom that you learned from today. That is your appreciation, is to share this forward. Take a nugget of wisdom and share it with someone you care about today. Say, hey, I was listening to this and it was a nugget of wisdom that I took away. Take it or leave it for what it's worth. I just felt the need to share it with you. So it's all about paying forward and really connecting with those around us, because it's going to take all of us as educators to amplify the value together to truly revolutionize education and take our power back and not be victims to a system that doesn't serve us anymore. So I wish you all a beautiful week, and we will see you next Magnificent Monday. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody. See y'all soon.